Okay.
We're going to have a Q&A, short Q&A. I know some of you have other classes, so feel free.
Or lunch.
Or
Or lunch.
lunch, yes. But we want to give an opportunity for people to ask questions to Fred. So we're just quickly going to be here for another few minutes.
Yeah.
Let's just... Yes.
Yeah.
You said in the beginning of the film that I think it was like 1915 or whatever, the first black actor in a Italian movie wasn't in the credits. At what time did they start like actually including them in credits?
Oh, I don't know. I think surely from after World War II, so from 1945, surely because the film industry also has a lot of African American actors, and so in this case, I'm sure that they were in the credit. Maybe in also in the film produced during the fascism time, so during the colonial time of Italy, I'm not sure that many of them they were credited. And maybe paid. I'm not sure if they were.
In your film, you mostly talk about how there's not a lot of representation for African Americans in the media. Is the same for other forms of art entertainment, such as regular art, theater, etc.? Is there a bias in those forms, or just in the media?
Yeah, it's I think also another form of art. Especially when art are connected to any industry, because you know also film is an art, but at the same time film is also an industry. So because I'm sure that there are many talents and artists basically who are part of representation of diversity, who are simply artists. Maybe they are not connected to the market. So it's very difficult to connect sometimes artist, industry and market. This is the process. So we have, of course, a generation, especially people of your age, of talents that maybe are trying to become filmmaker or actor, and so they are artists in one sense. At the same time, and they have talents, but at the same time they don't have the opportunities. So this is the problem of matching the two things.
Do you think there's a growing demand in Italy for multicultural content and see it as objective? Do you think that's happening now? I mean, I know because I live there and it's different.
I don't know if people also in America would like to demand a content with more diversity, because I don't think there is a straight connection from what we want and how we want to pursue it, what we want. But there is now a straight connection between the thing that we like. And usually, if we are watching, especially in your generation, which are the most popular series or film, usually there are films that are very with an inclusion of different actors or different story. So there are even I don't like a lot the idea to talk about women in jail. The Orange is New Black. It was a new way to bring the gender issue into the representation, and also talking about a different way to represent women in something that is unimaginable. So sometimes I think that, and this was also my experience, I felt that there was missing something in my life when I was young in the representation. So I didn't ask to have more diversity, but at the same time the lack of the diversity in my generation and in the representation at the time of the Italian film industry was a real lack. So I think that diversity is important to give a better entertainment, and like President Obama said, like every industry, but also a better representation of a community or a society.
I was thinking if it eventually would be normal, the diversity, because if you go to a
It depends, of course.
You know,
Yeah.
thinking about the very young kids, you know.
Yeah. Like Idris Elba said, diversity is not just a skin color, it's a gender, it's an age, it's a background, social background. And so in Italy, even before the phenomenon of the immigration, there is, for me, is still evident the issue of the gender. So there are a lot of, and there were a lot of Italian women in the school in Italy, also 50 years ago, but the situation never changed for the role that they have in the society. And so, of course, we need to stimulate a lot also the institution, the representation, the media to stimulate why it's important to have a diverse society, because we are sure that with those kids who are in the school, many things will change. But at the same time, the experience that we have in other countries, that many changes that we have seen in many countries were changed, started with a lot of conflicts. And so why we have to, again, experiment conflict in the society to reach the achievement that the other group reached in the past. And every time there is a new fight, sometimes it's for an ethnic group, sometimes it's for a gender group, sometimes it's for an orientation, sexual orientation group, or age. Another exclusion that we have in the Hollywood industry now are people who are more than 50 and 60 years old. And so there are few roles, if we compare the roles of elderly people during the 60s and the 70s. Even the American society, for example, is becoming much more old.
So I noticed in the film that you talked about the different, statistics for the people that were going to the films and the kind of films that were being made. I wanted to know, did you know of what the statistic was for the films that were queer-based?
In Italy or in America? In Italy, no, and but I think that we are really proximally to the 0%, so it's not difficult to. And in Europe, I don't know the statistics, so it's a very low market. And I think one of the reasons is also because our film industry is funded by public money, so from the government. And so I think that nobody also have the opportunity to risk, and so to say, like in the private market. In the private market, you have to risk also to sell your project. Or so for this reason, I think that this situation will be very difficult to go ahead if there is any public government help and support. Now the BBC, last year there was a big struggle did by Idris Elba and many other actors, most of them Black British and British Asian. And 4 months ago the BBC officially released a new diversity initiative plan in which they want to reach in 3 years, so by 2020, the representation of the 50% of women on screen and off screen, 30% of British Asian, Black British, and for the first time also is an ambition percentage. It is basically, I think, is the percentage that corresponds also to the representation of the nation, the 8% of the LGBT community in leading role and also off screen, and the 3% of people with disability. And this is very important because, of course, 3 years for me are a small window to realize that, but it's an important willing of change, and definitely will be much more contagious also to other film industry who are at least public funded.
Grazie. Thank you.
Thank you.
For staying. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you very much.
For coming to speak to us. And grazie for staying until the end.
No, the end, until the end of the class.
The end of the program.
Ci vediamo.
Not
Grazie.
the end of the
Ah,
work.
ok.
Mi spiace che devo
No,
andare a
no, no,
insegnare.
buon lavoro.
Comunque, no, complimenti. Molto.
Tu ti chiami?
Sono Rosa Maria.
Rosa Maria.
Sì, ci siamo visti
Sì, 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 sì,
qualche
sì, sì.
anno fa.